right, this is Jim Smith. You're looking at LUMN Technologies. LUMN is the ticker. Today we're going to show you how to do the square of the range by price. We take a swing high. We're going with the February 2020 high and the March 23rd 2020 low. And then we project this square. It's more of a rectangle, but that is a function of the scale we choose. In this case, we chose a price unit or a scale of 0.0325. What that means is the red 1 by 1 line rises at a rate of 0.0325 points per day. And then when it crosses the level of the prior swing high, that's where you complete the square. And if it looks more like a rectangle, don't worry about that. What you're really motivated here is to find the rhythm of the market. That's what you should be looking for. So you see the blue circles? The divisions on the square of the range should give you hits. If they don't, then you probably have the wrong scale. So what I'm saying here is you got a high 1/4 of the way through the square, halfway through the square was a high. This was, you could argue, a low. And then this was a low here as you complete the square in time. And you say, well, that's all fine and dandy, but this is ancient history. This is from way back in February of 2021. What use is that to me now? I want to know what's happening now. That would be a logical question. So if we're looking at that same square, and it looks more like a square now because we've got more data on here, but the reality is this is that point that we just showed you, February of 2021, and this is price action that followed. Now you're saying, well, it's still not very useful, but let's imagine you took that and put more squares on here so that you had, okay, the completion of the first square here, here's the second square, third square, fourth square. Actually, this would be the fifth square. I have it labeled as the fourth, but so if this is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, the reality is every time you complete a square in time, you should be looking for a change in trend. And what we have here, I've just highlighted a couple of them. You completed the second square, you got a rally. Halfway through the third square, you got a high, and 3/4 of the way, I got a high. We'll look at that huge sell-off. You got a lower high here. So if you're in a bear market, this should also tell you something. The completion of the square or the divisions within the square often will give you lower highs if you're in a bear market. See here, and here, and here, all the way down. This was kind of a low, and then now the question is, August 2nd, what is that going to be? Well, given the rally that's taken place in the last week or so, it might be at least a temporary high. So the fifth square, let's change that. This is actually the fifth square. Completion of the fifth square in time is important because something's going to happen. And we don't know. Now, if we were to sell off into the August 2nd, that would probably be a low. But if you rally too strongly into August 2nd, that's probably a high. So it's a function of whatever the market is doing going into the cycle that determines which way it's going to turn. Now, you can never say never, but there are times when it's going up and then it just accelerates higher. That could happen. So you always have to trade with a stop loss. Again, doesn't mean you're not going to lose money. It's you still have plenty of ways to lose money. But the reality is you're dealing with probabilities, not certainties. You can never really know what any stock is going to do for sure. But as long as the probabilities are in your favor, you can still take a trade. And this is why we do GAN. Now, this square, you might look at this and go back. Let's go back to where we were before. Here, if you're eagle-eyed, you might have noticed something in particular. The original swing move, this swing high and swing low, projected this square, and then we multiplied it forward till you had the fifth square ending here. What can you notice here? You might notice also that one square down, all we did is take this square and put it below that prior swing low. That actually projected the low for this stock. Pretty awesome, hey? If you think about it, I mean, what other technical analysis can do that? I mean, well, forget about fundamentals. They wouldn't have a clue. But the reality is, even amongst technicians, tell me you could project that low without using the square of the range. What we're saying here is that this swing is somehow connected to the bottom that came into position many years later. And the idea that this cycle would still be working how many years later from the original point at which you created it? March 23rd, 2020, that was the low. You projected the first square, second, third, fourth, fifth square. Fifth square in time will be relevant, and it all relates back to that initial swing. So I guess what I'm getting at here, I want you to understand one clear point. The random walk is total BS. The efficient market hypothesis is total BS. It's built on the idea that it's random. Their whole concept is bogus. If you can say that this swing is somehow related to the outcome here on August 2nd in time, and you can say in price it's somehow related to that swing, that should, if the light should be going off in your head, unless you're a fundamentalist. If you're a fundamentalist, you never look at charts anyway, you're not even watching this video. But if you are a technician, you have to know Gann was a frickin' genius. How do you figure that out? That this swing is somehow going to project the bottom many years later. That should rattle your brain a little bit. If you like this and you want to see more, go to my website, www.gannanalysis.net. Register, you get a few free reports. And if you're really interested, then okay, hit the shop button. Try it out for 3 months, see how you like it. I hope this has been helpful. Good luck with your trading. I'm not advocating that you buy or sell LUMN. I really don't care. I don't own this stock, and I'm not shorted. I don't care what you do. I'm just trying to explain the Gann methodology using this stock. So it's in the news today because it's going up like a bottle rocket, but the reality is, even something that happened 4 years ago, wow, look at that. Back in March of 2020, over 4 years ago, this swing projected this low. That should get your attention.